Welcome back to another episode of the Watch That Joan podcast, not the Watch That Movie podcast,
Yes.
the Watch That Joan podcast. My name is Mary.
And I'm James. And yeah, it's good to be back. You know, this is October.
Yes.
We are trying to stay true to spooky season.
Yeah.
All right, Halloween's right around the corner. Mary got this Halloween pumpkin jack-o'-lantern
Onesie.
sort of top on. Oh, it's a onesie. Okay.
Yeah. And I only wore it today. I haven't been wearing it every day for like 3 days, just today. So
Just today.
Yeah. I love my onesie pajamas. Granny also gave me like this this pumpkin and like bat printed in like black cat blanket. I've been wearing that too.
Who did?
Granny gave it to me.
Granny. Wow.
Yeah, she helped me make a Halloween costume one year too. When I went as the Full Metal Alchemist, she made his jacket for me. So
Oh wow. That's awesome.
if it's me, she'll do it for Halloween, you know. But
She do
people
whatever
don't
you
know my grandma, our grandma is she's like an evangelical holiness church Christian. So she don't play.
Halloween is for the devil.
Yeah. She don't play with the quote unquote devil's birthday, but you know, she knows. I guess she knows I like it. But yeah, it's spooky season, so we're gonna try to do spooky or films or movies that are kind of in the spirit of Halloween. They may not necessarily be spooky like the movie we're reviewing today, which is Tell 'em
Beetlejuice.
You remember that? What song was that when Lil Wayne was like flyer than Beetlejuice? I can't say it 3 times.
I don't know, but I do know what you're talking about. There's even like 6 foot, 7 foot was a spinoff of Deo. You know what I mean? 6 foot, 7
Oh,
foot.
you mean
8
that
foot.
Harry Belafonte song?
Yeah. Deo.
Me say Deo. You know, he just died recently.
Did he really?
Yeah, he just died. Maybe like, I can't be making this up. Harry Belafonte, he died maybe like 3 years ago, I would say. Henry Belafonte. Did I say Harry?
He died April 25th, 2023. He was 96.
Yeah.
From heart failure. But 96 and your heart ticks off. That is pretty
Yeah,
good.
I was like, I know I wasn't tripping. I said Harry Belafonte. It's Henry Belafonte, isn't it?
It's
Okay.
Henry.
Yeah, so yeah, we are reviewing Beetlejuice. It is the second adaptation of the Beetlejuice series. So this movie is directed by Tim Burton, of course. And I wanted to ask you, because he has a lot of films. I want to ask you which Tim Burton films you have seen.
Tim Burton films.
So I can read them off. So
No, I got a movie list here.
yeah.
So obviously I see the original Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
I seen The Nightmare Before Christmas. I cannot remember if I saw Corpse Bride.
I just watched Corpse Bride today. I've never seen it. And it's cute. It's cute. It's not, the thing about when I was a kid, I was really turned off by the look of Tim Burton films. I didn't like the sort of stop animation like look of it with the very like kind of claymation, like obviously hand built sculptures look of it. I was only really into like illustrative 2D, or like 3D illustration. So I just watched Corpse Bride today and it is pretty cute. What are some other ones?
He did a lot
of freaking movies, right?
He did the Batman movies, the original Batman.
The one in 1989, the Batman.
Yeah. Remember James and the Giant Peach?
Oh, that was Tim Burton. That makes so much sense. It's Tim Burton-esque. Look at it.
He did Dumbo. I didn't see the new Dumbo. I saw the original Dumbo.
Okay. Have you seen Coraline?
I have seen Coraline.
I've seen bits and pieces of Coraline, but I read the book when I was a kid before I saw the bits and pieces of the movie, and the book was really creepy. I loved it.
Well, I think my favorite, if I'm scrolling down looking through this list, I think my favorite Tim Burton movie, and it's going to surprise you, probably, is
Sweeney Todd. Of course it is. It's my favorite too.
Yes. Yeah. Sweeney Todd is...
it's a masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece.
Have you seen Edward Scissorhands? Because I've never seen that.
No, and I'm looking at it. He freaking loves what's the dude?
He loves Johnny Depp. He loves Johnny Depp. And there is some controversy when it comes to Tim Burton though. I remember I don't know how it goes, but I think an interviewer pretty much asked him, "Why are only white people in his films?" And he said something along the lines of, "It doesn't make sense for people of color to be in his films." He was like, "I wouldn't watch a black exploitation films and be like, there should be more white people." And it's just like forehead slap, deep sly, Tim Burton, but ugh, it's whatever. It's whatever.
Yeah,
Because my thing is, I feel like he only likes pale white people, aka Johnny Depp, and I think it's because he definitely has a fascination with the macabre and the dark and the dreary, and it's like he only picks the palest people. But it's like you could
yeah.
still make dark skinned, brown skinned people of other races look creepy too. Like, what are you saying? You're so
Like,
creative,
have
but you
you
can't imagine that. Okay.
have you seen uh Us?
You know what I mean? Like, you could still get
Like,
that I haven't slept in days with, or I've been dead for 6 weeks with dark skinned people, but,
yeah. So he also likes Michael Keaton,
he was
and
in
when
Batman
Beetlejuice first
too.
came out, yeah, he was the original Batman,
Mhm.
and for him to go from Batman, the Dark Knight, he not the Dark Knight movie, but it's the Dark Knight nickname, but the original Batman to Beetlejuice
Mhm.
in '88 is actually kind of hilarious because this movie was rated PG, but it was not a
The
PG
80s were literally
movie at all.
so freaking wild. Like, we've talked about this. Like, the rating scale in the 80s makes no sense. In the first Beetlejuice, the 1988 movie, Beetlejuice literally goes to a whorehouse in one scene. And they call it a whorehouse by name. And he drops the F bomb. And it's like, how is this rated PG?
And
PG.
he was a predator. He was a
Yeah,
predator.
yeah. He was a sexual deviant. He was. But
Yes, he was. Yeah, everything about that movie. I guess let's speaking of
you
that,
want to do
let's
like
kind
a
of
quick
touch.
summary of the 1988 movie?
Yeah, yeah, just like a good. I don't necessarily a summary, but maybe more like a shout out, right?
Yeah.
Because we both rewatched the original 1988 movie of Beetlejuice, and I forgot the whole plot.
So pretty much, Barbara and Adam Maitland, played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, they're on like a 2 week staycation in their very coveted home in Connecticut. They get into
Hmm.
a car crash and die, and then they become ghosts. And a new family moves into their home, the Dietzes, and then
Hmm.
Barbara and Adam enlist the help of Beetlejuice to get them out.
Yes, and the plot is simple. It's hilarious. The like them just trying to figure out life after
Yeah,
death.
it's
You
that
know?
movie has a lot of charm. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about how I feel like that charm translates into the second adaptation, but yeah, it's very fun to watch. Like, it's just I really like how, like you said, they're dead, and then you just find this handbook explaining to him, "Okay, now you're dead." There's a real sense of humor around death in this
Yeah.
film, and I really like the look of it, not only because this movie came out in the 80s, but, um, Tim Burton and his cast, they used a lot of, he loves, like I said, loves stop motion animation, and he used a lot of sculpture and puppeteering. So everything
Hmm.
looks very like he used a lot of practical effects. Like, for example, in the Beetlejuice, remember the scene where they're singing that Harry Belafonte song when
And the shrimp come up and grab their face.
so apparently, um that was there were actually people, like cast members, wearing those cocktail shrimp gloves under the table,
Mhm.
like really people
Mm.
wearing those handmade cocktail shrimp gloves, and they reached up and grabbed everybody's face. Like, that
Mm.
wasn't, he does do a lot of like mechanical work and puppeteering, but those are real people.
Yeah.
And even in the new movie, the Beetlejuice baby, he said that
Mhm.
remember the Beetlejuice baby, that creepy little
Yeah,
demon spawn?
yeah, that was insane.
He said they literally went to the toy store, got a bunch of dolls, cut them up, made it a sculpture, added some wires to it, and made it move. So
Wow.
he uses a lot of sculpture, a lot of puppetry, a lot of, not a lot of special effects, and I really like that.
Mhm.
And it looks really good. And it looks really campy and just like very kooky.
Yes, yes. It did look very campy, but
Mhm.
not necessarily a low budget either. It didn't look cheap.
No,
It looked like it was
it did not look
intentionally
cheap, yeah, and, it
yeah.
like, that's really hard to do, like, to
Mhm.
make something look very stylized in that way, but not look cheap and low budget, like, like a Tyler Perry film, but,
Yeah.
like
And the thing is, right, with the original film, it had heart, and I was watching it, and I was thinking there's something beautiful about you know, um, even when the husband and wife die in the beginning,
Barbara
right?
and, Adam.
Even when Barbara and Adam die in the beginning, they're still together, And like it just
So, they
the
didn't follow
romantic
the
in
rules
me.
of "Till death do us part."
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like the romantic in me is like, yo, even in death, it's beautiful that you can still be with your spouse or your loved ones.
Yeah.
Just it's worse, obviously, but it's different. So I don't know the whole storyline, and in the original one, I actually was afraid of Beetlejuice because you didn't know what this thing was capable of.
I
You know?
I always thought Beetlejuice was hilarious. I think it's hilarious
Yes.
that this man lives in the cemetery of Adam's model, neighborhood.
Yes.
Like, that's so freaking weird and just funny. And then, like, I like his little in the beginning of the mo not the beginning, but when, like, the TV cuts on its own, and then he has his little commercial
Ad.
saying that he's
Yep.
a
Yep.
bioexorcist. I was
Hmm.
like, I really like that idea. Like, okay, it's the other way around. If you have ghosts haunting your
Yeah.
home, you call an exorcist. If you're a ghost and humans moved in, you call a bioexorcist.
Exactly.
And I like the storyline of him being, remember the caseworker Juno when they met when they went to the underworld when they first died. Well, no, when they first opened it, they used a handbook.
Mm.
They opened the door to the other world, and then they were assigned a caseworker Juno, and she said that
Okay.
Beetlejuice was one of her own, like her apprentice. He went too
Oh
far
yeah,
and
yeah,
started
yeah,
his
yeah.
own
He went too far.
bioexorcist.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think the storyline, it's simple and they explain enough, but not too much that you start asking all these questions. And it's just really good. It's short and sweet and just weird and fun.
No, 100% agree. 100% agree. And this we could touch base on just the iconic scenes, but like there is yeah, that basically when I heard that Beetlejuice was coming out, I didn't know if this was a remake or a sequel.
Hmm.
And I intentionally didn't look it up until I sat in the theater. And I was pleasantly surprised that it's a sequel because I can live with sequels. I think remakes, it's like, except for like the It remake or a few others, it's just either hit or
The It
miss,
remake is
Like,
really good to me. That was really
yeah, I
good.
think so too.
That was really good. But yeah, it's hit remakes can be hit or miss, like, there's
Yeah,
some things you don't remake, like The Lion King. I understand. I know people don't like seeing animated movies become live actions. I do enjoy it because it's like it's interesting to see, these characters in this sort of medium. But it didn't work with The Lion King because they took away too much of the animated feel of the characters, like the expressions
yeah.
on their faces. And it's like you got to find a good medium. So,
What? I don't really want a lion smiling at me like a
no, but
real
there's a
life.
way that you can do that. Have you ever seen the live action Jungle Book?
I
They
have.
do that well.
I have.
Also,
Yeah.
Paddington Bear movie, they do that well. There's a good medium. I think with the Mufasa coming out, there's a Mufasa movie coming out. Even in the
Hmm.
trailer, I see that they learned from their mistakes, and it's like, okay, you guys found that happy medium between like not being like too
Natural
stiff.
Geographic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not being
Like,
Natural Geo, but not being that uncanny valley like Cats, the live action,
yeah.
you know.
Ha ha ha. Cats the live action.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Hilarious.
yeah, so yeah, I wanted to watch it because Jenna Ortega. Like I told you before, when I heard she was in this movie, I was just like, okay, it's going to be Wednesday the movie.
Yes. And the Jenna Ortega, right? Like the first time I saw her is she played as young Jane in Jane the Virgin, right?
Oh,
Remember remember Jane the
I never
Virgin?
watched that show. The first time I saw her was in You. Yeah,
You.
she was in the second season of You. She was
Oh.
remember that girl Delilah, her younger sister who was really into film?
Oh, I do remember that when he was staying in that apartment in California,
Yeah,
right?
uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right. She was in You.
Mhm.
And obviously she was in Wednesday,
Mhm.
you know?
She was also
And
in Wednesday. He was also in this movie called Yes Day. Very cute.
yesterday.
Yeah, with Jennifer Gardner. It's adorable. It's pretty much about this movie where the parents have to say yes to whatever the kids want them to do for a day.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, Yes
day.
Day.
Okay, okay,
Very cute, very cute.
okay.
But yeah,
Nice.
I like everyone, the whole world, we really started to like her in Wednesday. Even though Wednesday, it's like it's like a CW type show, but Jenna Ortega, and her portrayal of Wednesday, so refreshing, so fun. I loved it.
Yeah, and like so the thing is, right, is she fits the horror theme really
Why do
well,
you think so?
right? So she was in I think because her her face does a good job of being surprised and looks scared and dark but confident at the same time, just like her facial expressions and
I
just
think
like
it's because she kinda looks like she's giving porcelain doll. She has large eyes,
yeah,
pale skin, a pouty mouth. She has dark hair, like black hair.
yes,
So you can really
yes.
turn her into like this like I don't know, like this I don't know, yeah, she has a face for it, just like Johnny Depp, honestly.
Yeah, and I think she's absolutely starting her career. I'm looking at just focusing on at least her big picture career of doing horror movies. Right, she was in a movie called X, which looked like it's a slasher movie. She was in Scream
No, that
that came out in
movie, I think she
2022.
backed out of that movie. In the Scream
Huh?
remake, I think she backed out of that. So I heard.
No, she was in it.
Really? It's saying
She
that?
was in it.
Okay, I heard
I remember seeing it.
you saw the
We
movie?
went to the theater.
Oh, I thought she
She
backed
was
out.
in
Okay.
no, she was in Scream 2023. I saw it in theaters.
Mm.
Um, and then Wednesday, and then Beetlejuice. And I think if she plays her cards right, she can follow the same career path that um Winona Ryder
Winona
did,
Ryder.
right? Because she was the little
She was
girl,
Lydia.
right? She was Lydia in Beetlejuice. And if you go through her
One thing
movies,
about Lydia, she has kept the same hairstyle for 36 years.
she
Them
has.
same pointy bangs and like high ponytail. I'm like, girl, we can update it a little bit. Like, give me like a side part, something. Them pointy bangs. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but like if you look through her timeline, right? Her career.
Winona Ryder? Okay.
Yes, Winona Ryder, right? She was obviously in both Beetlejuice movies. She was in Edward Scissorhands. She was a mother off of Stranger Things. She was in Dracula. Like
Girl
she
Disrupted.
also, yeah, like um, Haunted Mansion. She she basically took on that
So
genre.
how do you
Not
feel?
one
Do you
hundred
think she's being
percent.
typecast? Do you see it as a good thing, like you found your niche, or do you see it as like you're being
I think it's a
typecast?
I think from a like it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have a niche. It's a good thing because some people do action movies or comedies or dramas, and if your thing is, hey, we need a middle aged like mom to play like a horror movie, go do it. Why not? Go make your money, right? And she does a good job of it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the movies that I listed has been successful.
Yeah. One
Um,
thing when I think about this Beetlejuice, well, what were you gonna say?
no,
One
no,
thing that
no,
I
good.
think about with this Beetlejuice and the original Beetlejuice, remember in the original Beetlejuice they introduced the Lost Souls room?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Basically, like just don't go in that
so
room.
Adam and Barbara, they were trying to go to their caseworker Juno, and they were walking down that iconic, like funky sort of MC Escher looking hallway with the checkered
Mhm.
floors and the confusing IKEA layout. I've got lost in the IKEA before for like an hour. It was terrifying. Literally. I thought it was just me. I went on TikTok and saw videos of other people getting lost in IKEA. Don't go to IKEA. I haven't been back since. But
Mm,
yeah, and they saw this one room and it was just like this very depressing room of like these souls and they were trapped in that room and someone said this is like the death for the dead. So when a ghost
mm,
or a spirit is exorcised, this is where they go. And I
mm.
was like, I wish both movies explored that a little more. Like cuz I was like that is an interesting concept, you know. It's kind of like when we think of an exorcism, we see it from our human land of the living point of view. There's something in my house that I deem as evil, so I had to get them out of there. But it's like, as we can see, okay, what about the people who lived there before you came, or like the people who died in this home? If you exercise them, what actually happens to them? So I wish that
Mhm.
was a little bit more explored in both movies. I feel like that's honestly in the second movie, that little plot point right there would be a lot more interesting than the whole Dolores Beetlejuice's first wife's plot point.
Yeah, to get to kind of tie to that, right? I thought that the plot for Beetlejuice was way too complicated,
It was
right?
yeah.
They they were doing so many things, right? Because first it starts off with the father, uh what's his
You mean
name
Astrid's
in the
father.
freaking movie? Astrid's father, yes.
So
He
Astrid's father, he died in like a boating excavation or something, and it was so funny how all the like the little fish was still sticking out of him. I like that too in both movies. Like people look like how they died in the afterlife.
Yeah. No, and I wasn't talking about him. I was talking about um
Rory.
uh no,
Oh,
Charles
Charles
Dietz.
Dietz. Okay.
So he dies in the beginning,
He gets eaten by a
and
shark.
he get eaten by a shark, and in the once again, it's a um it was a funny way for him to die, a Beetlejuice way, because he wasn't in the movie at all, right? So they kind of just put him in there. And apparently, he opted out of being in the movie because he didn't think it was a point of even making the two. And when they showed him like on the plane, it was just cartooned, right? Like you said, that Beetlejuice like
That Tim
stop
Burton sort
motion,
of.
Tim
I
Burton.
didn't like that either. I did not like that because it didn't feel Tim Burton X to me. Like I can't remember exactly what it looked like, but it didn't look like the clay model
Yeah,
sort of corpse bride, like Nightmare Before Christmas sort of look. I was like, ew, what is this? It didn't feel Tim Burton to me. It felt like a weird sort of like point of storytelling that didn't flow well with the story. Like when you think about
yeah.
Kill Bill, right? For me, the hardest scene is Kill Bill. I don't know if it's Kill Bill 1 or Kill Bill 2. I can't remember. But remember when one of the villains in the story, you're told Go-Go. Was it Go-Go? Yeah, it was Go-Go's story. It was told through like an anime sequence. Do you remember
Mm,
that?
not really.
Okay, it you need to watch it again. And it flowed so well. It didn't feel like out of place. The scene recanting how Charles Dietz died with the animation, I did not like that. I literally went like, "Ew, what is this?" Like it
Yes.
didn't I don't know what about it didn't feel like Tim Burton to me, but yeah, I didn't like it. But continue.
Yeah. No, I agree. I felt like if he wasn't in the movie, just say they could have said he died in a ridiculous way, made it funny, and kind of moved on. Because his death, it brought um Astridge to her mom, right?
What do you
Because they
mean?
were straight. Like it brought all the characters together. Them come back to the funeral and them kind of like rallying together. But like I feel like they could have did that without the over the top cartoon scene. It just seemed a little, I don't
My
know,
thing
a little
is,
too.
I don't mind them doing that. I just didn't like how the way it looked. Like,
So you think they could have executed it a
they
little
could have
better?
executed it better because my thing is that's core Beetlejuice stuff right there, being very
Yeah.
flippant and goofy about death, like
Yeah, that's
horrendous
true.
death scenes. And like we said,
Yeah.
Tim Burton, he loves animation. He's an animator, so throwing that in there, I just didn't like how it looked. I just didn't like how it looked. And like this movie, first of all, do not watch this movie while eating.
No, yeah, it's
The
gross.
first scene when the movie starts out with Danny DeVito, and another thing, Danny DeVito should have had a bigger role in this movie.
Or don't put him in it at all.
Listen,
Right?
they
He
should have gave
just
him some lines. Like he's a
they
gremlin
should have.
man. He would have been perfect.
Yes, exactly. He could have easily been like one of Beetlejuice's assistants with all the shrinking head
He
people.
could have been
Like he could
he
easily.
would have been hilarious as one of the shrunken head men. It's like why include him if you're not utilizing him? What's going on?
Yeah, him just like
He was a
foaming
janitor.
that green stuff out the mouth, just like
That green bile coming out of his mouth. I literally couldn't look at him when I was eating my popcorn. Like I literally could
yeah,
I was like, "All right, don't watch this movie while eating." Even later
yes,
on when Beetlejuice and his unholy matrimony to Lydia, and that cake comes out and the icing oozes green. Couldn't look at it.
yeah,
I was like, "Do not
yeah.
watch this movie while you're eating." And it's weird because the first movie were grotesque, but I could watch every scene with a full mouth. I don't know what it is about this movie that was just putrid.
Yeah, it really was. Probably just special effects and how gross stuff can look now.
So like,
Like
yeah.
34 years later.
But I feel like with Beetlejuice, like this movie tries to maintain like the creepy, campy charm of the first film, using stop motion animation, handmade prosthetics, sculptures, and puppeteering. But it's like it's a hard balancing act. Like it's a really hard balancing act between that and putting a modern twist on the story. Like for me,
Yeah.
like I said, sometimes the story felt like a CW film. Like
Mhm.
when it came
Mhm.
to just I don't know, when I think about sequels, like when I think about like, okay, how do I explain it? Like, okay, iCarly, they made a sequel of iCarly, and pretty much Carly follows the trajectory that makes sense in her storyline. She's still
Mm.
doing a web show, but it's kind of like I've only seen one season, but the sequel is kind of weird because the season I saw, the web show took the back seat because it's like, okay, she's an adult now. So her doing all the zany things she did when she was 15 wouldn't make much sense, and they put more of an emphasis on her relationship and everything. And it's like I get that. That is also interesting, but it's just like I don't know, some things don't really work like that where a character can just kind of pick back up where they were in the previous adaptation. Because it's like, okay, you have a web show, but we didn't really see her doing the web show that much, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, for Lydia, she has a TV show where she's kind of like,
Mhm.
it's kind of like, I don't know, Ghostbusters? I don't, not
Yeah, like Ghostbusters, Ghost
Ghost
Hunters.
Hunt. Yeah,
She
I was thinking of
yeah,
Mythbusters and I said Ghostbusters.
Miss yeah.
One of those paranormal activity shows where like,
Mhm. But she could just talk to the dead and be like a
yeah,
seance or
like a bullshit
mediator.
clairvoyant comes to her house.
Yeah.
I feel the spirit. That makes sense to her. I
Mhm.
did like that. But um I don't know. It's like, okay, now she has a daughter and she's in boarding school and all the kids make fun of her because her mom is a clairvoyant and she's weird. It's like that doesn't seem Beetlejuice like to me. Like, I know it's a modern time, but I feel like the original Beetlejuice wouldn't go that deep. They wouldn't give us that much because it's like they're just explaining too much. If I'm making any sense, they would keep it
Well,
short and sweet.
yeah, so cuz Beetlejuice was short and sweet and it had one setting, the house. Everything happened in the house. And if it didn't happen in the house, it happened in the afterworld area that was really inside the house. So this had different settings. And like I said, because they grew up, you wouldn't expect like Lydia and her parents or her step parents and her daughter to be in the same house anymore. Right? Like if they like I feel like if they would have came up and they all lived in the same house, I guess they kind of did. But like I don't know. It just it
No,
they
I think
needed
they
depth
moved to
to
New
it.
York. I think they all moved to New York. The house in Connecticut, I don't know who was living there. But I think they went back to Connecticut for Charles Dietz's funeral. But I
No, I think Charles still lived there because it had all the
oh, okay.
it had all the styles and all the like the stuff that she changed, all the
That
decorations that she
that
changed in
Dahlia
the original
Delia
movie.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes, and I thought that was a good touch because they talked about how much she wanted to change fashion and she made it look zany and she became like a famous sculptor and everything. So I think some stuff
It does make
I wasn't
sense.
tripping.
Yeah, like it does make literal sense, but it's like it felt like I was watching a different movie. Like when we
Yeah,
went
yeah.
to Astrid being at school. It just felt like I was
Mhm.
watching like a network television movie about a moody
I agree.
teenager in a small town who hates her mom, and it said often that, you know, Astrid and Lydia are estranged because apparently Lydia put her career before Astrid, but it's not really
Mhm,
shown that much. So Astrid just looks like a dick for a while.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she does that really well, to be honest with you, Jenna Ortega.
how old is
She
she in real
does
life? She's
22.
22. Okay, yeah, she looks like she can be
Mhm.
16.
Yeah, so I thought, you know, just the movie until about the midpoint was
And
about
even
was just
like even how like okay, even like I like a lot of shows about teenagers that adults make, they talk like they're 30 years old. They're 30-year-olds,
yeah.
and that gives me like CW. Like I don't know, like Jenna Ortega, not Jenna, Astrid's Halloween costume is like some physicist or something. You know, and
Mm,
it's like a normal
right.
girl would be dressed like a slut for Halloween or like a cartoon character. Like
Mhm,
and like she's just far more witty and cultured than your normal teenager, and they talk like 30-year-olds. To me, that's
mhm.
like a key example of okay, this is a network show. Like even her character in You was like that. And I'm like, kids don't talk like this.
No, I agree. I agree.
But
Even if they're super smart, it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
normal.
I'm like, why is she so like cultured and witty? Like what who speaks like this? But continue what we were saying.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say that like um as we kind of go through this review, the the movie was just not super interesting until about the midpoint, right? And
What
I
did
think
you
the
find
reason
not yeah.
was
What did you find not interesting?
so like Beetlejuice's wife, for
You
example,
mean
right?
Morticia? I mean
She
Dolores? I mean Corpse Bride?
yes, right. So when she comes in and she kills
The DeVito
Danny
Goblo.
DeVito, the DeVito,
DeVito
yeah,
Goblin.
right. As soon as she kills
She's
him,
like a fake dementor.
and
She
then
just goes around dementoring everyone. And I'm like,
yes,
what is she?
that's exactly
I feel like if you take
that's
her out the
exactly
story, it doesn't make a big difference.
yes, exactly, right. And like she's looking for Beetlejuice and trying to find him, and I don't understand why she doesn't just stand and say Beetlejuice, 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 and then he has to come to her, and then she kills him
I
there.
think only the living have that power.
No, they don't because in the original movie they were dead already when they summoned him.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so why didn't she just be like Beetlejuice, 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 and then
Maybe she
suck
likes
his
the
soul
thrill of
off?
the chase.
I don't know. It was so
But you know
weird.
what's interesting about the first movie? In the first movie, when Beetlejuice is literally trying to marry Lydia when she's a child because he wants to
Yeah.
finally move out of the model neighborhood. That's so funny to me that he really lives in the model. Like, what are you, a cockroach? You literally are a beetle. Like, I cracked up. But so he's looking for the wedding band to give to Lydia. He pulls out his coat pocket and the wedding band is still attached to a finger. And he says,
Mm,
"Don't worry, honey, she meant nothing to me." I
mm,
wonder if that is foreshadowing Dolores
yeah.
because they were
Maybe
married.
that was this. Yeah, they were married. And he cut her up, you know? So when she first
Exactly.
appeared, she was in all those boxes because he chopped
So it
her
makes
up.
sense to have only her severed finger with the ring on it that he kept.
Mhm.
But my thing is,
Mhm.
it was just weird. Like, was Dolores just evil for evil's sake? Like, why did she want to poison Beetlejuice? Was she just evil? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It was like, oh, if she destroys him, she becomes immortal. But at the time, Beetlejuice was just a regular grave robber.
And she killed
And why
Beetlejuice, so she didn't become immortal. She did effectively kill him. He killed her too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he killed her first, and then he died of the poison. But like, it doesn't make sense because how would she suck his soul if she was a human? It just none of it made
Yeah,
sense.
I was pretty exhausted immediately by the introduction of Dolores. I was like, this movie doesn't need another villain. It just
Yeah,
doesn't.
Beetlejuice was the
And my
villain.
thing is, if you're gonna have this villain, why was her ending so anticlimactic?
Yeah, just her getting eaten by that snake.
That's it.
Just
That's it.
yeah.
I think I forgot his name. What's it? Jeremy Fraser. Even though I hated his boot cuff jeans. I said, why is a 16-year-old a 16-year-old boy wearing boot cut jeans that he cuffed? I hated it. I hated it immediately.
Oh, yes. I thought that his storyline,
That's when the story picked
right?
up for me.
That's when it got
Yeah.
interesting. When it was like, oh, so um Astrid, right? She bumped into this guy, right? When she was running, like she accidentally falls into his yard. They get along, they start talking.
I rolled
He's
my
weird
eyes
like
at
her.
that too. I was like, "Oh my god, that was given CW," but they turned it on
Yeah.
its head. They
They turned it on
subverted
its head.
the cliche, you know what I mean? And I did like
Yes.
that. But that when she
Yeah.
first met him, I was like, "Why does she have a love interest? No one cares. This is Beetlejuice, not freaking to all the
Yes.
boys I loved before." But they subverted
Exactly.
it and it was interesting, but continue.
So I think if they would have stuck with that strand, right, where he takes her into the afterlife and her parents have to figure out how to stop him from stealing her soul and save her. That could have been an entire movie,
And all
Mary.
Beetlejuice did to destroy him was just veto his passport, then he fell into hell.
Exactly. Like
And I was
what?
like, "This is
Like
good. Yeah, why do we need Morticia? I mean Dolores." When I kept calling her Morticia. When you can literally yeah, that was a good, interesting storyline, and we can I feel like they just introduced so many people, and they didn't have time to properly wrap it all up. So, they just
yeah.
had Beetlejuice singing for 15 minutes, and then they just had a snake eat Dolores and Jeremy fall into the pit of fire.
Yeah, they basically solved all the problems in one fell swoop. Right? Just one thing. Like, okay, like Jeremy, here's your passport, psych denied, you're in hell.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah, but no, it did as
uh
soon as I found out he was a ghost, I was like I got excited. I was like, "Ooh, this movie's picking up."
yes.
But
It
okay,
got picked up.
it got picked up. So, going back to the first movie, I just wanna pick your brain. Why do you think Lydia was able to see the Maitlands and everyone else couldn't? Is because she has a fascination with the macabre? Like she said, she said, "I can see you because you are strange and unusual, and I am strange and unusual." Why do you think she could see them? I have a theory, but I don't know if it's right. I feel like it is right, but I just wanna know what you think.
Well, I don't know. I think ghosts are the type of thing that if you believe them, you can see them. If that makes
No,
sense.
that
Like
yeah.
I feel
She's
like
young.
you need to be susceptible to be able to see them,
You have to be open
and
to it,
then open to the
like Santa
idea, and then
Claus.
she was yes, exactly. She was open to the idea and believed that it could be possible, even though she had no idea. Like she innately, her personality was like, yeah, this could exist.
Mm.
So when she's, oh crap, I can see you. You know what I mean? It just, I think certain people have that. You know,
You know what I thought it
But-
was? I thought it was because she found the handbook. Like, I think if a human being sees the handbook, they can now see the dead because I think Ortho, um, uh, Delia's like art manager, um, remember he tried to bring um after Barbara and Adam tries to get everyone out their house by possessing them and making them sing and dance to Harry Belafonte. They
mhm,
weren't scared. They were like, "Oh, this is great. Like we want to meet them."
mhm,
And they didn't come down. So Ortho set up a séance to get them to appear. And I'm like, before he did that, I saw Ortho was reading the ghost handbook. So I'm like, he said, he's just as enthusiastic about paranormal activity as the arts, but I'm like, I think it's because he found the handbook. Like, I think the handbook allows you to be able to see the dead.
Hmm.
Do you think so? No?
I don't know. It could be. I don't think.
I think that'd be
I don't know.
interesting.
Like Death Note. That's what you're thinking about.
Definitely.
Like we touched the Death Note, you can see the Shinigami.
Yo, James, Tim Burton would eat Death Note.
He
He'll
would.
make the Shinigami, I forget his name, uh,
Ryuk.
Ryuk. He'll
Ryuk.
make Ryuk look so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, using a lot of practical effects and not just CGI like they did in the other live remake of Death Note. That's terrible.
It was
I didn't
terrible.
watch it. It just looked
Hmm.
terrible. I didn't watch it, but I heard it was bad. But he would eat that up. But yeah, that was really interesting. Yeah. And
Yes. So the I did like one character. I thought it was funny. So William Defoe,
ah
Willem Defoe,
William
right? As
Dafoe
the
is a gem. Ever since I watched Poor Things, I think he's
yeah.
hilarious. He's really freaking funny. But even when you think about him in Spider-Man, him being the Green Goblin, that is kind of campy and kind of silly too. So I think this is right up his
hmm
alley.
No, I agree. It was right up his alley, and he was the cop, but he was an actor that played the
It
cop and became a detective to detect murders in the afterlife, which doesn't make
doesn't
sense because it seems like you said, the room of lost souls was the only way to have an afterlife and
was the
like to
only
be
way was a
murdered.
death for the dead. So it's like,
Was it?
what do you unless you're exercise, how else? I guess Dolores was eating people's spirits, but it's like, yeah, Dolores doesn't make she don't make no freaking sense. He doesn't need to be in this film because it just puts a wedge in all the rules that we established in the first film. And while
Mm-hmm.
I loved William Dafoe in this movie, his character was funny. He never drank his coffee. Did you ever see him drink his coffee? He
No,
just
he
kept
does always hold it. He just hold it as a prop and then squeeze it, which actually makes sense because actors don't really drink; they just have their props. You know what I mean? It's a prop coffee.
So how did he
Yeah.
die? Because he had a gunshot wound. You could see his exposed brain. Did like a prop
Oh,
gun.
he's no. He said he was acting. And he said, "Yeah, who knew that grenade was live?"
You know what's so funny? Didn't that same thing happen to Alec Baldwin with
It
a
did.
gun?
It did. It did. And Alec Baldwin wasn't in this movie
Exactly.
because he was the original movie.
And like I was waiting for the Maitlands to come back, and I was like, "Oh no, Alec
No,
Baldwin is on thin ice right now." From literally, didn't he kill a coworker?
he did. He got off for it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, they died because they gave him a prop gun and he it actually fired off and he killed the person. So maybe that's who it is. Maybe that's the coworker he killed. It was that prop gun was William Defoe's
Oh my
character.
god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So maybe that's a slight dig.
No, but no, he was really fun to watch. But yeah, at times the movie did feel long. I just feel like I was shifting in my seat. I asked DQ. He was like, the movie was like
Yeah.
an hour 40. And I was like, really? It felt much longer.
Because like you were trying to figure out, okay, is uh the detective Will Defoe's character is he's gonna find the the
Dolores.
evil Dolores, and if he finds Dolores, how is he gonna stop her? Is Dolores gonna find Beetlejuice, or is
And Beetlejuice,
Lydia?
he didn't have the same, like, I don't know, he had one thing. So did Beetlejuice have his own agency? Like, okay, I guess what we were looking at was his bio exorcist agency with him and all the shrunken
Yeah,
headed men.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So he just helped Ghost get people out. That was
He
his
was still
thing,
doing, because
right?
I thought in the first movie when they like, I don't know. I can't remember how the first movie ended. Oh well, okay. I was like, what, how does he have a whole organization? Like, how did he get this when he's literally like a criminal? But I don't know.
The first movie ended when he was back in a waiting area and he saw the shrunken man, which is racist because he was near like this African witch doctor and the shrunken
Listen,
man.
there's a lot
And then
about this movie that I'm just like, Tim Burton, you're using diversity in the completely wrong way. Why was the only Asian, well, one of the only Asian people worked at the dry cleaners? and
Exactly, and even in death, like, yeah, working the dry cleaners.
the only
I
black
saw that
people
too.
we saw were literally lined up for the Soul Train,
Yes,
and they
on the
had no
Soul
lines.
Train.
They had no lines. They just danced.
Yeah, I was like, why do black people needed to be on the Soul
Literally, that's the only place
Train?
you see them. So it's like, okay, you're trying, but you're not trying hard enough. Like, what's going on with you? But it reminds me of this
Yeah.
stuff. I have so many American Dad references. We need to really put a counter. But so there's one episode of American Dad. Stan wanted to make a really scary haunted house because for some reason haunted houses really turned on Francine.
Mhm.
And he made a haunted house. He thought it was the best on the block until he saw his neighborhood house. Francine went there and she was like, "Yo, I wet my pants. Our house don't got
Mm.
nothing on this." So Stan was venting to Roger, like, how can I really, impress her? And he was like, you got to get real. Like, you got to be real. Du, 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 du.
Mhm.
And he was like, get real criminals. And when he was saying like, to be real, like slowly, like black people came up and they were dancing. And then at the end of his spiel, he was like, all right, you go get the live criminals and I'll find out where all these black people came from. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. It's like where other black people only exist for the Soul Train. Whenever you play like soul music, they just come up and dance and shuck and jive. What the hell is
Yeah,
this?
it just
Like
dance. It made no sense at
he was
all.
like, yeah, okay, you
And,
do that.
like
I'll find where all these black people came
and
from.
then what was the Soul Train? Where was it taking
I
them?
don't know about that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is that souls passing on? What is that? They never explain. That's what I'm saying. When a movie The first movie was good because they didn't explain too much, and what they did explain was
Mhm,
limited, and it made sense.
mhm.
Like I said, this one, there's more rules, and it's like, if you're gonna bring the rules and further world build, I just need a little more explanation.
I agree. I agree because it was just ultimately just too much. It was too much. It was too complicated,
What did you like
you
about the
know?
movie?
So, I liked like I said, I like Astrid, that character. I like when she met the
What
boy.
did you think about
I
Rory?
liked
Is his name Rory? That conceited Gaston looking husband that Lydia was going to marry?
he was so annoying. And you could tell that he was fake immediately, because at the funeral he was like, "Marry me." Just proposed to you at your father's funeral.
Yeah. Someone
And
doesn't
it
have
just
your best interests at heart if they literally propose to you at your father's funeral,
and,
like,
and his whole thing was like, "Oh, I make a lot of money as a manager, but I like a lot more money as your husband."
mhm.
And they turned around after that, and he dies the same way that the demon Beetlejuice dies.
Hmm?
It was just he get eaten the same time that Beetlejuice's wife get eaten, or
Oh,
Beetlejuice.
by
I don't know.
Dolores. No, Beetlejuice blew up. Didn't they, like, inflate him like a balloon and he blew into pieces? I thought this would happen to him, and
Mm,
then Dolores and, yeah, Rory got eaten by,
by the
by the
snake.
snake. What song were they
Yeah.
singing at the end? I was gonna look up the lyrics, but I forgot. Something about the cake's
Mm.
been left in the rain?
Oh yeah, yeah. The cake been. So I thought the wedding that wedding scene. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, I thought that was funny. Um,
Where Beetlejuice,
and
like, possessed everyone to sing?
yes,
It
and
is
just
funny when he
sucked
does that in the
everybody into
first
the
movie.
phones. Yes, yeah. In the first movie, that was my
That
favorite
was
part
really
of the movie.
funny, yeah.
Right? It was because they were just killing it and just like yeah, that scene where they sing Deo. It was
Or even
phenomenal in the first.
before then, when they were in the model, Beetlejuice makes, Barbara say something, and it was just funny, I don't know, that was the first time he did it, and I was like, he's snapping, like, Michael Keaton and having a lot of fun with this character. In the second movie, I feel like I don't know, I don't know, Beetlejuice didn't seem like this sort of in the first movie, there was, like, a mystery around Beetlejuice.
Yeah, he seemed like a trickster that you couldn't trust that might turn around and kill
Yeah,
you.
he was like an
Right? Once he
anti-hero.
got
A little he was less than he was a villain. I wouldn't even call him an
he was a
anti-hero
villain.
because no, he doesn't get Deadpool's like an anti-hero. Beetlejuice is a demon.
Exactly.
So
Beetlejuice was
but
evil.
he
But I felt like in this movie, Beetlejuice didn't do anything but help them. Right? Like he helped Lydia get into the afterlife. That's why she brought him up in the first place. And then after that, she helped them find her daughter. Like she helped them find their daughter. And then she was like, "Okay, just marry me." And he was just doing to like just following what the agreement was.
Do you think he
and he
should have had
died.
another plan for getting do you think it was kinda corny that his same plan for kinda getting out of the afterlife was to marry Lydia? Do you think he coulda tried something else?
I don't even know if marrying Lydia would make him alive. I think he just wanted to marry Lydia because he's a pervert.
No, no, he said in the first movie, he was like, "I'm stuck here." It's like a green card marriage. So, the only way to get out
Mm.
of here is to marry you, kid. So, yeah, it some way, somehow, it works like a green card marriage. So, do you think answer your question again, do you think it's kinda like you're still trying to use the same plan, it didn't work the first time, come up with something else was kinda
Yeah.
like, easy and put together? Like, do you think it was only so we could feel the nostalgia of Lydia putting on that same red dress and Beetlejuice still in
Yeah.
that same ridiculously '80s tux? Like,
Yeah, which was probably fashionable when he first
oh,
wore it.
yeah, it ain't down.
Um,
It ain't down.
but no, I don't have a problem with the
Mhm.
remarriage thing because he kept like a picture of her and like just like was waiting on her for the past 30 something years. So I didn't really mind that,
But what else did you
and
like about
he's
the film? I don't know if I cut you off.
no, I was gonna say that I also liked um what did I
You
say?
said
I already said
you
about
like William Dafoe. He was funny, he was
mhm.
fun. Oh, let me look at the lyric to that
Oh,
song.
that Beetlejuice baby was hilarious. All right, that baby was like she just birthed the baby. It came out and just
Yeah,
started eating, like run up the wall and stuff. I thought that was pretty
yeah,
funny.
he was scary, he was scary. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was
Let me
funny.
see, what was the lyrics to that song? Uh, Beetlejuice watch that, John. I mean, Google that, John, y'all.
Google that
Beetlejuice
Joan.
Beetlejuice wedding song? Wedding scene song, okay. Uh, to MacArthur Park, the gym rat ripping oh, this is a song.
MacArthur
What's that
Park.
one song from Beetlejuice? No, not that.
I think this is it.
No, Beetlejuice. Let me see. Entertainment Weekly.
No, it's MacArthur Park. It's
I
here.
wanna see the lyrics. MacArthur Park. You feel like pulling up the lyrics? I just wanna see what they're saying. I just heard, "And the cakes left in the rain." MacArthur who's it I
Mm.
thought MacArthur Park was the band. Oh, well. Yeah. What else? What I liked about the movie?
Yeah, MacArthur Park is melting in the dark. All the sweet green icing flowing down. Someone left my cake out in the rain, and I don't think that I can take it because it took so long to bake it, and I'll never have that recipe again. Oh no, oh. So that, the melting in the dark, green icing flowing down, it melting. That's why it was so gross and grotesque because they just was mimicking that song by apparently Donna Summer.
Okay, yeah, I saw Donna Summer and I was like, "Okay. We love Donna Summer."
Yeah.
So it seems like Tim Burton likes black people's music, but not black people. But yeah, yeah, but yeah, like I said, I think the actor's performance was all good. Catherine O'Hara as I keep saying her name wrong, Dahlia. She cracked me
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Like literally when she
She
saw
was.
her half-eaten husband, she died because
Hmm.
she had the two little snake bites right here and here.
Yep,
So she sees
yep,
her
yep.
half-eaten husband. Literally, he's half of a man.
She's-
And she's like, "Look what they did to me," pointing to her two little snake bites. I cracked up. I said,
Exactly.
"Oh yeah, she's just as
Exactly.
vain as full of herself as she always been." And that's
No, she
refreshing. I
was.
think the actor performances were all A1. So
No.
it's just
No, I
yeah,
agree.
it just sometimes it felt like trying to put a modern spin on the classic just didn't work and it was kind of clunky. Dolores' storyline did not need to be needed. And something that I can't quite put my finger on was kind of taken away from Beetlejuice in this film. And that's about it.
No, no, I agree. I think that the original obviously is a cult classic
It is
and
it's
it's
so
hilarious.
cozy. It's like I wouldn't mind having, like, a Halloween tradition of
Cozy. It makes you feel uncomfortable. Like not
I don't
cozy.
know,
Like
there's
it's not a
something
comfortable
cozy, like,
movie.
yeah, it's I think because it's so silly and goofy, there is, like, a weird comfort about it, like, that's to me, that's like a comfort film. The first time I
This
saw it, I didn't
movie,
feel that way, but the second time when I kinda got it, I was like, "Okay, this is very cozy."
yeah, this movie lost the romantic undertones is the first, right? If you think about Tim Burton, even all his movies, it still have some type of like from Corpse Bride to Sweeney Todd to Edward
You've never seen
Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands, how do you know?
I know there was a
There was a
relationship in
love
there,
interest?
right? A love interest, right? But just like the theme of it, you know, is love in spite of death or loving someone even though they are deadly, right? It's
You thought that
just
was the underlying theme? I thought the underlying theme was kinda like
I'm saying that's not what this movie is
I meant for the
now.
first film,
And
I didn't
with
think
the
of that
first,
theme, so
no, the first film, at least for me, it was this husband and wife died relatively young, but they still get to spend eternity with each other, you
married
know.
people be like
And even when they were brought back in that séance, they came back as
that was so sad
like
when they were dying. I was like,
they were
"Oh."
dying, but in
So
what they
what
got married in, you know.
so you think they were being sent to the Lost Souls room?
Hmm. I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe that's probably what was
Because
happening.
I think Ortho might have read the wrong spell or something. Maybe he was trying to call them forth, but he was really exercising them. Yeah.
Maybe exercising from the
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
But okay,
Hmm.
what would you rate Beetlejuice?
So I originally wanted to rank it like a milk dud.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like I was sitting there watching this movie, and I was like, I wasn't really interested until about the halfway point. Like I said, when the Demon Baby came out, it was funny, and then Beetlejuice had an opportunity to do his weird Beetlejuice stuff, and it got better versus just the human stuff that I didn't really care
You
about.
mean when he spilled his
And
guts out?
then, yeah, when he spilled his guts out, which you saw in the trailer,
I didn't
unfortunately, like
watch the
the
trailer, but okay, yeah. I do
yeah,
hate it when they reveal the best scenes in the previews. It's like, what did I come to this movie
yes,
for?
yes, right. But like it picked up, especially after what Jeremy is that his
Jeremy
name?
Fraser, yeah.
Yes, after when he turned out to be
And it's
evil,
funny because I
and I
told
do
DQ that. I'm like, when Astrid was like, "Hey, I met this boy. I'm supposed to spend Halloween with him. Can I go over his house?" And she's like, "Okay." And I'm like, you didn't meet this boy, Lydia. You don't know who this boy is. You don't met his parents." I was telling DQ he could be a murderer. You know what I mean? He could be in
the
a
thing that make
cult, and he was.
it did it didn't make any sense at all, even the timing, because they fled from the house and they were about to leave the state, and she was like, "Oh, I got a date with a boy I met yesterday." And Lydia stops everything and takes her to that. It didn't make any
I
sense.
think it makes sense to me because they weren't like in a rush to leave. They were gonna go back to New York, but I don't think it was it like a rush. Did something happen where they're like,
Yeah, they ran out the house because either they ran away from Beetlejuice. Yeah, or just something happened. I remember that they fled the house, and she was like, "Wait, we can't go yet. I have to meet Jeremy for
well, no, they were gonna stay
Halloween."
anyway because they were gonna get married. Lydia was gonna get married to Rory
Yeah, but
at that state.
she was already running away for some reason.
Huh.
I forget
Really?
why.
Okay.
But yeah, they was fleeing, and the only reason they didn't flee was
Oh
because she
no,
was like,
no, I don't think anything happened yet. I think Lydia was creeped out because she kept seeing glimpses of Beetlejuice at that time.
yeah, and she was trying to get out of there.
Yeah, but
You were
I don't think it was like hmm. That's I don't remember. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember.
yeah. I don't remember
But there
the
was a sense
instance,
of
but
urgency
I
to
remember
leave.
it was a sense of urgency to
Okay,
leave,
and
but
she
she
ignored
stopped
that because
because
she wanted her daughter
your
to go
little
on a date.
girl on a date with like it
Okay.
didn't make any
Okay.
sense. It didn't make any
His
sense.
bootcut jeans, they drove me crazy. I
Yeah,
was like, "What years?" We should have known this dude has been dead for
was
20 few
dead.
years. He had bootcut jeans, James, that he cuffed. I was like,
Mm-hmm,
"What this
mm-hmm,
dude got on?" But I did feel
mm-hmm.
sad for him before I knew he was a killer. He was like, "I could never leave this room. No one else could see me besides you."
Yeah.
Ah, no one I wonder if she found the handbook. I can't remember if Astrid found the handbook or is she just inheriting her clairvoyancy from her mother. Can't remember. But I did feel
Yeah.
sad. He was like, I was in that tree house. No one could see me. You're the first person who saw me. I was like, oh, this story's picking up. I was like, I get it.
Mhm.
You've been so
Mhm.
lonely by yourself. Then I thought it was hilarious how his mom and dad were just reliving the things they did before they were dead. Like, she's in the kitchen baking cookies, and we don't know that literally he has like a dough mixer. He put a dough mixer,
Mhm.
like shoved it in her face and pushed it through her skull, and a freaking what chainsaw through his dad's face. I was like, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So
No, it's crazy.
I would give this movie a medium bag of popcorn.
Medium.
Okay. I would give it like a medium bag of popcorn because
Like a popcorn bag that just too small to share.
like okay, it's a medium size bag popcorn, but they didn't fill it all the way up with popcorn.
Mm.
So I'll give it
Mm.
a medium. Like I said, it picked up at that point with Jeremy, and there were still some things in there that I got a kick out of. Like I liked how one of the people who worked at the case, I don't know, the agency for the newly dead, he obviously got ran over by something, some very large vehicle, and he was just like flattened of like the tire marks still on him.
Mhm.
That was really cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like I they said that that wasteland that exists somewhere in the realm of the afterlife, like when the Maitland stepped out of the house, they fell into that wasteland.
Mhm.
That was actually a soundstage. And like there was like a huge fan there, and Jenna Ortega said she could feel the ground moving underneath of her as if the sandworm was literally like, you know, going
Mm.
in and out. And the sandworm wasn't CGI. They made it.
Oh, wow.
Okay, there's probably some CGI elements, but it was mostly sculpture. So I do
Okay,
like for
okay.
most of the scenes they didn't rely too heavily on CGI. And when they did, that's what kind of took me out of it. Like the gruel coming down Danny DeVito's character's mouth. It just felt like it was too modern. It just looked too clean. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
missed the ashiness of the 80s film. But
Ashy.
yeah, but I will give it a medium. If you want to call it small, also okay. If you want to call it medium, okay. Is it worth seeing in theaters? Absolutely not. But if it comes on, I would watch it again. I would.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's probably a good like Netflix,
Yeah.
HBO
I can see
Max.
myself having a Halloween party and having, we're gonna sit watch the first Beetlejuice movie. The second one we're gonna put on in the background and play some games, refer to it, laugh. Ha
Yeah.
ha ha. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, cool. Thanks for listening, everybody.
I was like, I'm not
This is
saying
another
nothing else. I'm gonna
episode.
let James close this out.
Yeah, this is another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Watch That John. You can also follow us on the YouTube channel at the Watch That John podcast, where you can listen to the audio versions of this episode or watch our um video episode of the movie Challengers, starring Zendaya. So,
One thing I want to say really quickly. Do you think the movie isn't spelled like how Beetlejuice's name really is spelled, just so we can pronounce it easier?
I was wondering that too. I think because look every time we do this podcast, I have there's like a you put in your name, right? And so
Oh
I've been
yeah,
just
so
putting
it's
in.
no, that's not how it's spelled. It's spelled Betelgeuse.
Okay, okay. Um, I don't know. I was wondering that too. I was wondering why they spelled it juice instead of.
I think it's
'Cause
just
I read that as
yeah, yeah,
Beetlegeist.
yeah.
Maybe, maybe he can't write it because
You think he's just stupid and he
right,
can't spell his own
I
name?
either he can't spell his own name or because of the power of his name, he can't
That's
write
what
it
I was
out.
thinking too. I was like, does he have to spell it like that so people have a hard time pronouncing it, making it harder for them to say it 3 times?
Yeah,
I was like, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. Or it
yeah.
could
I don't
just
know.
be like, okay, Tim Burton, he wanted his name to be Beetlejuice, but maybe he was like, it's too hard for people to try to pronounce it, so I'm just gonna spell it the real way for the movie, and
Yeah,
then I don't know.
who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? But I was wondering about that
Mm.
too.
All right.
But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Until next time.
Bye.